Hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be learning how you guys can massage your horse at home. This is not going to be a full in-depth video on how to give a horse a massage because you do need to be certified to give horses massages. So this is just kind of like little basic things that you guys can do at home to give your own horse a massage. So today we are starting here with Laverne. So this is not my horse. This is a horse that I have worked on twice now. This is now her third massage. What I want you to do for your first step for your own horses is first I want you to make sure that they're comfortable. So make sure that they are in a comfortable setting for them. As you can see, she is totally calm here in the cross ties, but if your horse prefers it stall or in the wash stall, do those things. If your horse doesn't like to be cross-tied, then do a singular tie. However your horse is comfortable, if that means you have to give them a hay net, then you have to do so. I don't personally like to give my horse a hay net while I'm giving them a massage because I like to watch their facial expressions and their body language, and I find that if they're too consumed in their hay, sometimes they're not paying attention throughout the rest of their body. So I want you to groom your horse thoroughly, and then if it's summer like it is right now, I want you to fly spray your horse. All right, now that Laverne is nicely groomed and fly sprayed and extra comfortable, now we're gonna move to a separate angle, and I'm going to get you a little closer up so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm doing, and we're gonna get started. Okay, so first, I always like to start with the head. Okay, so I always like to have the halter a little looser so I can get my hands in it easier. If you need to, I prefer getting halters that have the clip on them so I can unclip and work underneath. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hand and just imagine gently stroking the horse, okay? So you can, if they allow you, you can put two hands, one on each side, and you can kind of get it done a little faster. But I like to start nice and slow. If they're not comfortable with two hands, then I'll just stick with one hand. So right now we're just going to gently rub their jaw. So this muscle right here, easy girl. This muscle right here, this is called the masseter. So this is what makes them chew. This is the muscle that they use when they're chewing, okay? So I can imagine, you know, getting a face massage would probably feel great. So I always like to do the face. If your horse isn't a fan of like getting their face touched very much, do this part last. You can do the head last, and then that way they're nice and relaxed throughout their entire body, like the rest of their body, that they're more likely to let you do the face. So just going everywhere, wherever your hands may take you, bringing them through every little crevice on their nose, their forehead, really wherever they're gonna let you do it. So some signs that you wanna watch for that your horse is relaxing is lowering of the head, closing the eyes, like softening the eye. Notice how she's kind of like falling asleep looking. That's a really good sign. Licking, chewing, sighs, cocking of one foot. Those are all really great signs of them releasing tension and just enjoying their massage. So right now I'm just using very, very light pressure as if I would just be petting her. And she prefers to go nice and slow and nice and easy. It's a little more relaxing for her. So that's what I start with. And you can start doing a little smaller circles. If you notice they're enjoying one spot more than the other, then stay there for a little bit, okay? Let them relax and enjoy it. You can go all the way up on their ear, go between their ears, and there's a big bump, and that's their poll, okay? So a lot of horses get tension around the muscles on their poll, and just the tiniest little bit of tension on their poll can cause them to have behavioral issues. It can cause them to be head shy and obviously stressed and in pain and not want to collect and tuck their head and whatever, or flex or anything like that. So we always like to start with the poll, which is kind of like the most important part to me. So see how she was releasing a little bit of tension in her poll there? As I was massaging her poll, she started to lower her head and she started to lick and chew with her mouth, and that's her releasing some tension in there. Now I feel like she still has a little bit more tension in there, so we're just gonna continue to gently, see, we're just gently massaging. I'm not even using enough pressure to squeeze and smush a grape, okay? So you're not using very much pressure here at all. Okay, so once you did both sides of her head, cheeks, poll, everything like that, we're going to start working on the neck. Okay, so I like to split the neck in half. You can see this nice line here. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but that's where her muscle splits, okay? So there's two different muscles. I mean, there's more than that, but you get what I'm saying. So I want you guys to focus on the top half first. In the middle would be where her vertebrae would be. And then we're gonna kind of work on the bottom half a little bit. When I start, you always, always, always have to start with Effleurage, which is basically petting. It's the stroking, because you need to start warming up the muscles, because you never, ever, ever want to stretch or massage cold muscles, okay? Because you can do more damage to them that way. So we're just going to continue starting to warm up the muscles with nice Effleurage, and I'm going to start adding some circular motions. And this is, I'm just kind of starting to target a little bit more and more pinpointed areas wherever I feel like she might want some extra help. So if you feel that a muscle is super tight, like right here, she's got a super tight muscle. This is a really common area for horses to be tight. She's licking and chewing. You can't even see it though. Good girl. So notice as soon as I started working on this tight muscle and she started enjoying it, she started to release some tension. I'm gonna back you guys up to hopefully get her head to stay in frame. Okay, so we're just going to continue doing, now we're just gonna do like small circles all the way down the entire top half of her neck. Okay, so this is just starting to help warm up her muscles here. And notice how I'm paying attention to every little detail of hers. That way, if you can see that she's the slightest bit uncomfortable, you can work in that spot just a little bit longer to whatever she allows you, or they allow you, whoever you're working on, until they can release some of that tension in that area. So notice she's softening the eye. She's kind of doing a lot of like blinking here, and now she's releasing. Now that was kind of a baby release. I think she's got some more in there. I think she's a little shy. So we're going to just continue in this little area where she has that muscle knot, and we're just going to massage it out and make sure that she's comfortable while doing so. Good girl. See, there we go. Sometimes it takes them a second to like realize what's going on, but it will work, okay? And if your horse doesn't get it on the first time, it's not a big deal. Sometimes it takes horses a couple times of getting massaged to really open up and understand what's going on. Once you kind of did that, you guys can start kind of banging on them a little bit. Not hard, but this is a big muscle, okay? They can take it. This isn't going to hurt them. If you notice that your horse isn't a fan of it, if they're kind of throwing their head, maybe don't do it. They probably don't like it. Make sure you're staying above their vertebrae. You can do this, or you guys can go like this. I'm not doing very much pressure here. Now you guys can take the heel of your hand and we're just going to push in an upward motion. So not using anything more than like a medium pressure. So if I say medium pressure, like this is like effleurage. This would be like light pressure, like just touching. And then medium pressure would be like pushing in. And then hard pressure would be like that, but we're not doing that. So you're just going to take the heel of your hand and we're just going to gently push, okay? So I like to do that, again, focusing on the top half of their neck. Now once you're done with this section, you're just going to effleurage everything to squeeze out all the toxins and let them drain out, all right? So since we finished the top of her neck, now we can work on the bottom half. So remember how we worked on the top, now we're gonna work on the bottom half. So I'm just basically going to do effleurage for this whole section here. And then we'll move down to her shoulders and pectorals. So now we're going to kind of move down into her pectorals or her chest, whatever you want to call it. And again, some horses can be very, very sore in this area if they are using their front end a lot, like horses that are like cart pullers or like roping horses that are pulling. They are going to get very, very sore here. So make sure that you're paying really close attention to your horse and your horse's like body language, so you don't get bit or kicked or whatever. Okay, and always make sure that you're standing in the right areas. You're not like standing directly in front of her while you're working on those areas, okay? So make sure you're giving enough space in case they were to do something. So I like to kind of do this whole section as like a whole. I will overlap a lot. Sometimes I'll overlap a little bit of their neck. Sometimes I'll overlap this if I've already worked on it. And then we'll kind of start working into the withers and into the heart girth here. But then so I'm basically just covering like this region, okay? It's not specifically just the shoulder or whatever. I kind of like to overlap a few things just so it can all kind of blend nicely into like a nice full massage. Okay, so always starting with effleurage. Maybe do this for, a minute or so. So see how now she's a little more reactive here? She's not the biggest fan of this area being done. It's not like she's doing anything bad right now. You can just tell it wasn't her favorite thing at first. So I'm going to continue to do some effleurage, and then I will step in again once we are kind of working on the next thing. Okay, so we finished with the effleurage on her shoulder and pectorals and whatever. So now you can start to get a little more in there. You can go up to some medium pressure here now. So we're just going to take the heel of our hand here, and we're just going to go back and forth and create some friction. Okay, so you can do this slowly. You can do it with your whole hand. I like to push with the palm of my hand. You can also take your thumbs and strip down into her muscles here like this. Sometimes they can really enjoy that because you're really getting in there. Again, only using medium pressure. For her pectorals, I like to do small circular motions, and then you can go all the way underneath, and then underneath this way. See how she doesn't like that very much? See how, oh yeah, she's not a fan. So she's sore here, but notice how I just keep working at it a little bit. Just nice and easy, I'm not doing anything harder. And notice how now she's starting to release a little bit of that tension in there. Yeah, I know. And remember that we never do more than our horse can handle, okay? So if your horse is really telling you that I need a break, I need to be done, then you're done, okay? You take a break from that area, and then you go back to something that maybe they enjoyed a little bit better, you know? You're a good girl. But I definitely don't want you to shy away from a sore spot, because what's the point of getting a massage if you're completely ignoring the places that are sore, you know? So now, if you have any rings, flip them inside. So like if you have a ring, flip it to the inside, and you're going to make a fist. And now you can just push down with your fists. So I'm not making like a fist like this, I'm kind of like pushing like this, okay? And then you can do like a little twist. Remember, we're only working on medium to light pressure here. You guys, good girl. You guys will only be working on medium to light pressure because you guys did not go to school. If you go to school and you learn how to do things properly, then feel free, you know, but if you are not certified, do not do more than medium pressure at the most, okay? And finishing it off with some effleurage for that bottom portion here and her pectorals. And I like to bring it all the way down the leg here, but don't go anywhere below the knee or below the hock. So next we're going to work on more of like the top of her shoulder here, kind of going into the withers area and into the heart girth. If your horse is cinchy, more than likely they're going to be sore in the heart girth area, okay? So just be aware of that. So again, starting with effleurage, and then we're going to work our way into the palm, okay? So now when we're up on their withers here, you can take your hands on either sides of the withers and kind of rub them like back and forth, almost like you're like bringing out a ray. Now we're kind of working our way from this muscle right here behind like the shoulder, and we're going to work from here down to here. So like this is where her heart girth would kind of be, but we're also going to kind of include a little bit of her withers, her back, and her shoulder all at the same time. So we only really do effleurage in this area, but then when you get up here to where it's a little more, you know, muscly, you can use the palm of your hand and work that area as well. Don't work big muscles for more than 10 minutes. You can overwork the muscles, which then can make them sore, so you don't want to do that. Smaller muscles, I would say about 5 minutes to be safe. Okay, so now we are working on their back, okay? And we're also going to work on their intercostals, which is their ribs, and then we're also going to work on her abdomen. So starting with her back, again, starting with effleurage, you can do strokes like this, you can go in circles. I really like to go in circles. I'm not really sure why, that's just my personal favorite. And we're just going to warm up this muscle. we're going to focus on this section from her spine to right at the top of her intercostal space. So right here, you can feel like a shelf where like her ribs would kind of be starting to like go down. So it's about the length of my hand. So we're going to take the palm of our hand, now that she's nice and warmed up, we're going to take, or the heel of our hand, and do some more of that friction. So like we're cross fibers right now. And I'm going to give her a decent amount of pressure. So now we're going to work on her intercostals and her abdomen, her obliques. So again, for her intercostals, we're just going to do effleurage. Okay, sometimes this is a really forgotten about part that a lot of people kind of would just overlook, but we don't do that, okay? So this part is treated just as equally as her pole and her neck and everything like that. So just nice effleurage, okay? So now once we start going into their obliques, which is their muscle underneath here, you want to stand closer to the front in case they did try and kick you, but not too far towards the front to where they can turn and bite you. Okay, so I just like to take my hand and again, just doing effleurage, maybe light pressure on her obliques, and we're just going to continue to do that. Now she's actually enjoying this a little bit more than what I would have expected, but again, don't forget about this part. So one important thing is I want you guys to make sure that you're always listening to your horse and always communicating with your horse. So if they tell you that they're, in pain, you know that they're in pain. And then when they are telling you that they are enjoying what you're doing, you're noticing those little things and you're picking up on those little behaviors. Okay, lastly, we are going to work on their hind quarters. So notice how we're kind of splitting things up in little sections here. So now we're going to work on her hind quarters. I always like to start at the top and then kind of work my way down and back. So start at the front and top, down to back. Does that make sense? So I like to start with their hip, okay? The point of their hip is that like knob that they can get. So I just like to effleurage around that, and we're going to effleurage the whole thing, go up this little thing up here where they kind of have like two little bumps. That's their sacral joint. So I like to go all the way up and then all the way down from their hip all the way over. Now, I have a safety hand that I'm keeping here on this muscle right here. This muscle right here is called your Tensor fasciae latae. You want to keep your fist flat on that area. That way, if she was to kick, you can push her leg back down or away from you with that. Instead, where if you're like this, you could pull your fingers back or your wrist back. So this is your safety hand, and I would prefer you would keep it there. So I'm just going to work this area. And then you can start doing some of these again. Remember how we did these on her neck? You just want to do enough of it that you can see her muscles kind of bounce. Do you see that? She's pretty tight in her hind end, actually. So we're going to kind of do this a little bit longer than your average time. She should have a little bit more bounce to her. like to do is I like to take my hands kind of like this, and we're going to push. This is where you're going to start using some more pressure, okay? So we're going to use like medium pressure here. We're going to go all the way down, keeping an eye on her emotions, on her legs, making sure she's not getting ready to kick you and you're not paying attention. And then I like to take the tip of my fingers all the way to the heel of my hand, okay? And then you can start working back here. These are their hamstrings, okay? So horses that are really working with their hind end, they're going to get sore here, like a lot of barrel horses, jumpers, reiners, cutters, just everybody who's engaging their hind end properly, they're probably going to get tired muscles back here. So we'll show you that almost when we're finished, okay? So right now I'm just doing effleurage down the back of her leg, and then we're going to start working this middle section here. So like I had said before, this muscle here is the Tensor fasciae latae, and I like to just use the heel of my hand and do nice big circles. You can also do this one here, but I feel like I have a hard time doing that. So I like to just take the heel of my hand and do nice circles. Now she actually cocked this foot for me, so she's letting me get in there a little bit better, which I appreciate. You can go back and forth. You can go up and down. And you can go in circles. You really just have to get creative with it and just go off of what your horse seems to be enjoying. So this area right here is her stifle. I don't want you to work your horse's stifle because you can overwork your horse's stifle very, very easily. So stay away from that area. So we're just finishing it out with some effleurage after we have worked on it for quite a bit. And we're going to just move on to the back here, and I can show you just a couple more things, and then we'll be done. Okay, so this muscle that runs down here and along the sides, these you can also work, okay? So I just like for their hamstrings, I like to just go back and forth. If you're working an area and see how she's kind of lifting her tail up, that means she's okay with you working there. So if they clamp their tail like all the way down, they don't want you to go there, and it's a better possibility that you might get kicked. Okay, so we're just going to work in nice circular motions. You can go down, and then however far in they let you go, you can go all the way in there. All right, you guys, so that is the basics on how to massage a horse. Do this to both sides. So I only showed you one side for time's sake, but you do this to both sides of the horse, okay? If this kind of stuff really interests you, remember that these are the basics, like very, 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 very basic. So if this is something that you guys kind of want to get more into, then I recommend you looking at going to like equine massage school. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see any videos like this, I would really appreciate if you commented down some ideas. I do have a couple more that I plan on doing, like how to check your horse for soreness, and I possibly am going to do like a more in-depth video on how to massage your horse at home, and I will do one on how to stretch your horse properly at home. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up to let me know that you enjoyed it. It helps me just understand what you guys like and what you guys don't like, so I can make sure that I'm giving you videos that you are enjoying. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell notification. That way you know when I upload a video. Otherwise, they can get lost in the realm of YouTube. So please, please, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. I will have a new video out shortly, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.